Hey, fuck it. Hit record. Let's do this. Yeah, good morning. Yo, caffeine, as always. Wow, I came back from a cool trip. I went to Colorado, and that was fun as shit. So today is May 11th of 2022. So we took off to Colorado on a Thursday. That's the 5th of last week, and we came back on the 9th, right? So we stayed there for 4 days. On the 5th day we came back. Originally we were gonna stay for like an extra day, but like, for work reasons we couldn't do that, so it was fine, right? And I had a blast. And what made this trip a lot more fun is that my girlfriend's family lives up there, right? She has some cousins and aunts and uncles, and just chilling over there. And like it was fun, so it was fun to be able to go and to an environment that I didn't know, but she was familiar with it, and people that live there, that her family are familiar with, they were able to drive us around and take us to areas that that they're familiar with, right? So, but yeah, like the cool thing about like Colorado is basically I guess how overall clean it is. My girlfriend's family members, they'll ask, "So, what's your impression of Colorado so far?" And like, like that's my answer. Really, just how clean it is. Compared to like, where I live, it's like fuck, it's so congested with people. You go towards Los Angeles, there's literally like a cloud of smog on top of that fucking city. It's very sad. The homeless population is increasing here, unfortunately. Everywhere I drive, there's a lot of billboards, throwing advertisements to your face and all that shit, right? But going to Colorado, it's like, it's like you step outside and it's like, boom, very clean, nice clear blue skies, a lot of there's a lot of wildlife we get to see. That was pretty cool, right? We saw prairie dogs. That's I guess something that they see a lot over there is prairie dogs. We saw deer. We actually saw a moose, which was kind of cool. Unfortunately, the only time I got to see those animals is when I was driving around, so I couldn't even take out my camera, so I couldn't get much footage of that, right? But it was cool to see wildlife just, walk around, minding his own business and shit like that. It was really neat. So something that my girlfriend planned on doing when we were over there was going to a Stanley Estates, right? It's basically like a fancy hotel, actually, that was created by two brothers that created like the steam powered car, right? One of like the first moving vehicles, right? We got there, we walked around and stuff like that, and like actually that place has history of being like a filming location, right? Primarily of Dumb and Dumber. If you guys remember that scene where like they drive up with Lamborghini, and like Jim Carrey's handing out dollar bills to the employees that work there and stuff like that. Yeah, that was filmed there. And also The Shining was filmed there, but not The Shining with Jack Nicholson. Actually, the Stephen King version of The Shining, right? Because originally Stanley Kubrick didn't like the overall idea of like The Shining, so he kind of like totally changed the overall storyline. So Stephen King decided to make his own version of it, and he filmed it there. So that building was used to film The Shining from Stephen King's version, right? We decided to do the tour, and that was actually kind of interesting, right? I wasn't allowed to film, and I respect that, right? But we were allowed to take a lot of pictures, and we went around and took a lot of pictures, and they talked a lot about the history of like the Stanley brothers and the history of the place and whatnot, and like it was interesting. I'm not gonna go over too much of details because I can't remember most of the shit, to be honest. Fuck it. But the cool part was basically the story goes with Stephen King is that I guess he was having massive writer block, and he was driving around that area, just spending some time with his family, and it was getting late, and like everywhere they went, it was kind of closed, right? Because it was in the off season or something like that. Not many people were there visiting, tourist wise, so a lot of places were closed early. So they came across the estates there, that building. And they were already closing, but Stephen King and his family were like, dude, we're lost. We need a place to stay, so on and so forth, right? But, most of the place was empty, right? So just to help them out, they actually gave them a room, right? The famous 217 room. So they gave them that room. Stephen King couldn't sleep or whatever, so he decided to walk around and all that shit. But the place was empty because nobody was there, right? They were like basically the only ones there. And the tour guide was telling us a story that he went to like the bar area. On the scene in like The Shining, right, where like Jack Nicholson, he wants to get a drink, and like the bartenders are like, your money's not good down here, right, so on and so forth. Well, something similar like that happened according to the tourists, right? Stephen King went to like the bar, and like he asked for a drink and all that, and the bartenders are like, I can't accept your money because I already closed the register and about to close or whatever. But he's like, hey, I got my own private stash here. I guess the bartender had his own private bottle in the back, so he hooked him up. I guess everything was put away. The fucking chairs were on top of the damn tables and all that shit, so on and so forth. And like, I don't know, I guess like he started to get nightmares for being so isolated and all this shit, and like, I don't know, just that environment gave them like the the idea to write The Shining. So yeah, the tour was like 23 bucks, and it was like about an hour long or so. Part of what makes that a tour interesting is like, there's a lot of like haunted stories about it, like a lot of like, spirits that are lingering around and all this shit. There's actually a room where like they actually have like I forgot what it's called, where like people sit in a circle on a table holding hands, start praying for fucking like spirits to show up or some shit. I don't know. I don't believe in that stuff, to be honest, but whatever. Yeah, it's there. It's actually like a tourist attraction. They actually have shows, or they do that every night or so, of course, for a fee. Well, yeah, the tour guide was actually nice. She actually had pictures of like sightings, supposedly, that people take pictures of, like, oh shit, I caught like this reflection that looks like a face, and then like they'll give it to her, right? So she like showed us a lot of pictures of like from her phone of what she says it looks like a ghost, right? Like faces and whatnot. I'm like, all right, cool. I'm not a big believer in that, to be honest, but I was like, all right, interesting. So yeah, after that, we just like drove around. Like there's like a little downtown area, right? Called the Estes Park area. I think it was called Estes. It's a nice area, very nice area. There's a lot of cool like has that downtown feel. Like a lot of shops there, a lot of good restaurants. We ate there. It was pretty good. Had like some barbecue and all the good stuff, right? Yeah, it's just beautiful, man. A lot of green. Like you see patches of snow and all that stuff like that. But yeah, we definitely got to appreciate a lot of like the nature that Colorado has to offer. Me personally, being like a guy that's surrounded by buildings all the time, I guess if we had an extra day or two, I would have liked to visit more of like the big city type to see what goes on there, right? Because this is mainly where we were, right? We're in like in a place called Longmont. That's where we stayed at, Longmont. Yeah, a lot of open space. There was a lot of creeks and ponds and lakes, scattered around. It was very nice, right? But yeah, I would have been more interested to like visit, say like Denver and stuff like that, and like to check out what's going on over there, right? But next time. But for the most part, like because of COVID, like it's been years since my girlfriend was able to go up there and visit, right? So most of our time we spent doing that, hanging out with the family and all that. So it was fun, right? It was fucking neat. Probably one of like the coolest moments was like her cousins, the one that we drove around with. They took us to go shooting, and that was fun, right? That's like a gun range. It's called Trigger Time. Yeah, we got like 3 lanes for ourselves to shoot. Yeah, that was fun, dude. It was a lot of fun.
Holy fuck. Oh, rack the thing.
What?
Say, I'm gonna push you.
Yeah, that's everything. Lots of food, that's for sure. Like everywhere we went, like, we were visiting family, so it was all like, yeah, let's have some food, right? So yeah, we had some good times. We had a lot of good food there. Yeah, I had some barbecue, all the good shit. Yeah, I had a blast. So definitely have like, I have a good experience and be more than happy to go back, sometime next year, maybe possibly. Short video, ain't got much to say because our trip was pretty short, right? 4 days. Yeah, and we talked about next time we go, maybe we could stay there for a whole week or something. That way we can like, experience a bit more of other locations, right? Nice area, very cool. Definitely going back there someday. So yeah, that was my weekend. Thanks again for checking out this video, hanging out with me for a bit. Take care and peace.